From your weekend regionals to your everyday locals, Blue Eyes, they are everywhere. Thanks to the accessible price point being super cheap to play the affordable competitive deck, you've seen a lot of new players coming in thanks to Blue Eyes, and you also get the old veterans coming in because it is such a powerhouse of a deck. But because of the vast range of people playing, we are seeing a lot of illegal plays happening, and these are like minor things, like one or two things. Oh, one illegal summon here, oh, I forgot about a restriction there, and all of a sudden the game is over. Like, how bad could it be? It's just one thing. It's a Blue Eyes deck. It's the difference between 3,000 damage, a proper summon, maybe a couple of extra Blue Eyes on the field. The damage that it can dish out is so huge, it does end games abruptly when it's not supposed to. And so you have a very short time frame of catching it, and that's what this video is about. We're going to be helping you guys kind of pinpoint various areas which are the most common Blue Eyes illegal plays. So this is a ruling segment, and I'm not going to be quizzing you guys today, but I'm just going to bring to your attention particular lines of text on cards that you should be paying attention to, because these are the most overlooked pieces. And so it's going to help you over the weekend. Maybe it's going to be your OTS, maybe it's a regional, help you maintain a legal game state so you can maintain proper integrity and not lose games where you're not supposed to. So if you guys can do that, hit thumbs up, hit subscribe, ding that notification bell. Check out MST.TV if you guys need some TCG essential needs, from sleeves, over sleeves. We also have box dividers to help you sort your collection, and we also got foil sleeves, so if you guys want to kind of spruce it up a little bit, reflect your inner aura onto your sleeves, then we got you covered at MST.TV. All right, let's get into the rules. This first card we're going to talk about is Spirit with Eyes of Blue, and the most common illegal play happening with this card is due to its restriction of you cannot special summon monsters except dragon monsters. Now this is likely affecting everyone, whether you're a new player or an old player. Sometimes you just forget that this card is on the field. You think that your entire deck is just made up of one particular typing, and you just forget. You summon back your Maiden of White, which is the most common option, which most people illegally summon back onto the field. They forgot, whether it be pro, whether it be not pro, it's just something that occurs, and you need to know to catch yourself on this, because it's a very easy procedural error minor that leads to you getting a first warning. But if you repeat the offense, and since this is part of the opening play or the mid-game play when you get the turn back, it's very easy to make the same mistake again. And when you make the same mistake again, that likely leads to the upgrade. And this is where most new players at the OTS Store Championship, or whether it be at the regionals that they're going to, this is where they're going to experience their first upgraded game loss. It's too easy. And so this is one of the ones that most people need to catch. It can matter a lot because some people want to leave this monster on the field while making the Spirit Dragon from the Maiden summon back. I don't know why you would do it, but it is something that I've seen a lot of, and so please catch it. Remind your opponent, because that is an illegal play that is occurring, one of the most common ones. But another ruling regarding this particular card is when people summon out Blue Eyes Jet Dragon with this card. This is likely due to the fact that they failed to search. They failed to search for the field spell. They were unable to dump a Blue Eyes into the graveyard, but they're trying to go for a bit of damage or clear off perhaps one of the more problematic monsters like a detonator, and Blue Eyes Jet Dragon is typically one of the easier monsters to go to kind of take out the problem. Here's the thing, if you summon out the Blue Eyes Jet Dragon from the graveyard via this particular effect, that monster cannot attack and its effects are negated. So you've got a double whammy here where you're trying to use the effect and you're trying to attempt to attack with the monster that has an effect that was summoned from the graveyard. So these are two things you need to pay attention to with Spirit with Eyes of Blue. So the second most common illegal play that occurs happens between a mirror match and Yugioh, and the card in question is going to be Roar of the Blue-Eyed Dragons. Now this is one of the new cards from the structure deck, and it offers you a free special summon of a defense mode Blue Eyes monster or Blue Eyes White Dragon if you don't control a Blue Eyes White Dragon already. And the other effect is if when you banish it from the graveyard, you get to perform a fusion summon. Essentially, it's acting as a polymerization as long as you use a Blue Eyes monster. Okay, that particular part is completely fine. However, based on how I read it just now, I completely missed the restriction. Yes, there is a restriction on this card, and that is the part that most people are kind of fumbling on, especially at the competitive level, and I can explain why it's so easy to forget. And first of all, you cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of this turn except Dragon Monster. So your extra deck now is Dragon locked, okay? With the Dragon lock in mind, what happens when you're going second and you're breaking a board against, say, the Blue Eyes deck, or you're breaking the board against a Ryzeal deck? A detonator could hit the graveyard, or if you couldn't turn on your True Light engine and there is a Maiden of White in your opponent's graveyard, you're attempting to take that instead. Or maybe you're just taking your opponent's Blue Eyes White Dragon, because restricting their Blue Eyes number also matters heavily. And so once you complete your play, you forget about the restriction, because 14 out of 15 cards in your extra deck, they're all dragons, so you never really put that restriction into mind, as well as the monsters being summoned from the graveyard, such as the Maiden of White or the Sage that's summoning back from the graveyard because of Maiden's effect. Those aren't dragons, so you forget about the restriction being active, and therefore you perform the illegal summon. And if you go into Lina, that's the illegal summon, but Lina leads to a second illegal summon because that play is already illegal, and you're summoning back your opponent's Ryzeal Detonator, and that's attaching a monster. Now you're dealing with a 3k beat stick with a pop attached to it. That's a very major swing. On top of that, they could also be staring down at the rest of the Blue Eyes monster that are on your side of the field, and perhaps there's even a spell trap in the back row. So there's a lot of disruption that they're looking at on top of their own detonator. And on the other way around is that if you somehow took your opponent's Blue Eyes White Dragon, you're still at the very least staring down a 3k beat stick, or if you somehow turned on the True Light using your opponent's Maiden of White. You can see where I'm going with this. Like, there's a huge, like, rippling butterfly effect because of one particular legal play, and that usually leads to the game stage, which would become more or less irreparable. So keep that in mind. If you want to prevent this from happening, when you do see Roar of the Blue-Eyed Dragons in the graveyard, or your opponent performing link summons, check their graveyard to see when they activated this card, just to make sure that that link summon they're performing of Lina is legal, because it is a really good play. Like, Lina taking a detonator, who wouldn't want to do that, right? And why wouldn't you want to take your opponent's Blue Eyes? But with that in mind, hey, we should be doing everything legally. And I typically like to take away my opponent's, like, Blue Eyes Jet Dragon. So yeah, there you go. The third most common illegal play, and it's actually very rare because the other two was just so common that I had to make this video, but this one has to do with Primite. It's Primite Lordly Load. Like, when you activate Primite Lordly Load, there's two things to keep in mind, and I think I'm just gonna read the entire card text for you guys because everything here applies. When this card is activated, add one Primite card from your deck to your hand, except Primite Lordly Load. You can declare one normal monster card name, special summon one of the declared monsters from your hand, deck, or graveyard in defense position. Also, you cannot activate the effects of special summon monsters on the field this turn. And you can only use each of the effect of Primate Lordly Load once per turn. And normal monsters and Primate monsters you control gain 300 attack for each normal monster with different names in your graveyard. So I've read the card in its entirety. Okay, for a change of pace, let's talk about how people are cheating Blue Eyes players on this one. Okay, the first thing is people are telling other Blue Eyes players, especially newer players, that, oh, you cannot activate the effects of special summon monsters on the field this turn. And they tie it in with, say, the Spirit with Eyes of Blue, because, oh, your Spirit searched the Mausoleum of White, and therefore now you can't use Lordly Load's effect to declare a normal monster. Well, they're lying to you, for one, because it sounds like a restriction, but it isn't one of those conditions of the card. It isn't. It is an applied effect because it has the also conjunction. To give you guys an example, say you attack directly to your opponent, and then you perform a link summon of SP Little Knight using an extra deck monster as a material. Okay, does that mean that that SP can't banish your card on the field? Because it says, oh, you cannot attack directly with monsters on the field this turn. But you already did. But because this is attached with the word and the conjunction of also, it is an applied effect and not a condition. Yeah, they could have made it a lot simpler by saying, oh yeah, for the rest of this turn, you know, you cannot special summon, activate the effects of special summon monsters this turn. They could have blah blah blah, kind of simplified it that way. But you know, if you know your conjunction, they can really shorten a few pieces of text in here. So I guess maybe that's what they're going with. And so that is an applied effect. And so yes, you can activate your monster effects on the field at first that are special summon, and then you can still special summon out a Blue Eyes. But after this card resolves and you summon out that Blue Eyes or Dragon, even if you don't special summon out that Blue Eyes, that particular effect will still apply as long as the Lordly Load was able to resolve on the field. And so yeah, you're basically locked out after the fact. Okay, so that's one. Now let's go into some of the illegal plays coming from Blue Eyes. Okay, number one, this card summons in defense position. I've seen people just summon this card in attack position, attack for game. Like, what? Okay, so that's the first one. Pretty easy. Catch them if they summon in attack position. Like, Roar summons in defense. Lordly Lode summons in defense. I believe most cards actually just summons in defense, except for like the Sages and basically any of the monsters with Eyes of Blue. Those are the ones that do summon in attack position. That's your kind of little like cheat sheet there for that. But another thing that people kind of forget, that hey, they read this card and it says, it doesn't say that you can't just activate this card once per turn. It doesn't say you can only activate this card once per turn, but it does have a restriction of, oh, you can only use the effect of Primite Lordly Lode once per turn. Okay, so here's the rundown of where I've seen people kind of play this illegally. So they activated the Primate Lordly Lode, and it gets chained to with a Hieratic Seal of Heavenly Spheres. Okay, a Hieratic Seal of Heavenly Spheres. And then they return the Primate Lordly Lode back into the hand. And they're like, oh, okay, I guess I don't get my search. Well, it doesn't say I can't just activate this card once per turn, so they're going to activate it again, and they're going to try it again, and oh, they just don't get the search. Unfortunately, that's not how it works with this card, because the search effect is mandatory. When this card is activated, add one Primite card from your deck to your hand. That is mandatory. And since it states you can only use each effect of Primate Lordly Lode once per turn, it also restricts it so that you can only activate it once per turn. Yeah, that's the restriction. Because the effect is mandatory, by simply activating it, you have to attempt to resolve the effect. But since you can't use that effect anymore, you can't activate it. And therefore, that one particular bounce, putting it back into your hand, now prevented you from using the on-field effect of declaring a normal monster name. You see where I'm going with this? So yeah, the person trying to put the Lordly Lode back onto the field and using the name effect, yeah, that is completely illegal. They can't just say they skipped the search, because the search part is completely mandatory. So yeah, the card doesn't say you can, like their argument of saying, oh, the card doesn't say you can only activate one copy of Primate Lordly Lode once per turn. Yeah, it kind of does, but it's just like secretly worded in a bit of like, PT, like problem solving card text mumbo jumbo. Now those are the big three, and I got another rapid fire 7 rulings that you guys need to make sure that you play properly. But before that, check out MSTmerch.com. Guys, MSTmerch.com, you guys love it. You love the sleeves. Yes, we're sold out of the Ulti Instinct sleeves. You guys love it, and unfortunately, we're sold out for a little bit, but we have dealt with the tariff issue, so you guys don't worry about ordering if you're from the States. It will still get to you, no problem. So if you guys need to refill on your Ulti Egos, your Heart of Blaze, you want to get some fiery sleeves from us, then we got you covered. We got our Pearl Whites, our White V2s. These are fantastic sleeves. You need over sleeves, we got you covered as well. Double texture, which texture you want, we got you covered. And if you want to sort your collection, our box dividers has got you covered there too. All right, check it out at MSTmerch.com. MSTmerch.com. Thank you guys for checking out. And don't forget, we also have mats, but you're going to have to email us about that. Time for the rapid fire illegal plays. Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, quite simply, some people are summoning the monsters summoned by its effect in attack position. That's just illegal. If you want the additional damage, just wait a couple of months, and then you're going to get the new Ancient Fairy Dragon that can attack in defense position. Otherwise, you're going to have to do a Crimson line to work it around so that you can get the Crimson Dragon Summon monster in attack position. Okay, next, what else do we have? Oh, people are forgetting to destroy the monster summoned through Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon's effect during the end phase. Very common. If you want to protect your monsters, either summon out an Azure Eyes Silver Dragon, or you can summon out instead, go into the Crimson line, Stardust Divine Cipher Dragon. That one also protects everything, gives everything but essentially a 1-up once per turn. Okay, then there is, oh, this was a funny one. It's a combination of the Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon and Blue Eyes Jet Dragon. Some players are claiming that the monsters won't destroy themselves because Blue Eyes Jet Dragon protects the monsters from being destroyed by card effects. While that is partially true, it only protects it from your opponent's cards destroying your cards. Last we checked, Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon was still activated on your side, so it's considered as your effect, and since it's your effect, Blue Eyes Jet Dragon will not protect whatever that's summoned out from Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon's destruction. Okay, that is the limitation there. Moving on, next we have attempting to, oh, this is funny, Mausoleum of White. I feel like whoever that's doing this is straight up, they know what they're doing. Let's just say that they know what they're doing. They're attempting to send a Blue Eyes White Dragon to the graveyard as cost, so it I think that bypasses like Ogre or Ash or whatever that they're trying to do. Yeah, no, it's not a cost. So Mausoleum of White, sending a normal monster into the graveyard, that is part of the effect. It happens on resolution. If you destroy the card, remove the card, whatever, it's not on the field, you won't send that Blue Eyes into the graveyard, or that normal monster, I don't know, the Flamvel Guard into the graveyard. It's not gonna happen. Okay, in fact, this is one of the reasons why it leads to those odd illegal plays that makes Blue Eyes players struggle a little bit when it comes to the rulings, because if you're unable to send out Blue Eyes monster into the graveyard and you're stuck with the Spirit with Eyes of Blue on the field, you play Roar. Roar summons out a Blue Eyes White Dragon, and then you attempt to activate Maiden at this point. And if you attempt to use Maiden, the reason why you want to use the Maiden is so that you can summon out the Blue Eyes, and then you can synchro it off, put the Blue Eyes back into the graveyard, and then reuse your copy of Spirit with Eyes of Blue to resummon out that Blue Eyes White Dragon. I completely understand that, but that's not how things work. And that's what leads to the illegal play. Wow, that actually makes a lot more sense now. It's actually a very common thing to do, too. Next. Oh, this is actually a lot of people. They actually haven't read the effect of True Light properly. They just know that, oh, it can send, like, set up a card that mentions Blue Eyes White Dragon, like a spell or trap card. But you have to understand that it has a Shizuku-like, Sky Striker, Ace Shizuku-like restriction, where if the card is in the graveyard, or if you control that card, you can't set that same name. So if you were unable to activate Wishes for Eyes of Blue because you were unable to get a Blue Eyes monster on the field, your True Light is incapable of setting a second copy of Wishes for Eyes of Blue, which is why most people only run one copy of everything in that particular lineup, just so that it doesn't trip yourself over when you're unable to do the banish. Because if you want to get, say, the fusion effect from the Roar of the Blue-Eyed Dragons, that's not easy because you have to fuse from field. It's not common, and you don't really get that much of a benefit aside from just putting your monsters back into the graveyard. So that's why most people play one Roar, because you're not able to search a second copy anyway. It's hard to get rid of it. But True Light on the Wishes technically will help you get that banish. No matter what you do, you should always go for that banish no matter what anyway, so that's why it's okay. But yeah, that's it for the rapid fire. I hope you guys enjoyed this video because we've reached the end. If you guys enjoyed this video, learned a thing or two, smash that thumbs up button, hit subscribe, ding that notification bell. I'm not here to antagonize Blue Eyes players, it's just that there are just so many of them, and there are a lot more newer players, and when there are newer players, they're going to forget, and let's just try to keep the environment friendly, alright? That's how you kind of grow your community. If everyone's friendly, people are going to enjoy their time, and if people enjoy their time, we all get to enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh! That's all I have to say for this one. If you guys enjoyed, smash thumbs up, hit subscribe, ding that notification bell, and I will see you all in the next one. Bless your polls.